What's up, YouTube? I'm Serene Desiree, and today I'm here to talk to you about the fallacies that I see in Jordan Peterson's logic. Now, it's his belief that the best way to solve the issue with the culture war is to fight it out. Verbally, though. Essentially, he believes that if we don't fight it out verbally, if we don't have debates, if we don't have rational conversation, if we don't each tell our own version of the truth to each other, then eventually tensions are going to build so much that it will escalate into a war. I'm going to tell you why that isn't quite true and why the consequences of following this current pathway could be devastating. Now, he's a smart man, so I can't just debunk his logic by, calling him a name. I actually have to go through a specific set of axiomatic presuppositions, as you might say. So let me go through those and watch it till the end, and then let me know what you think. The basis that my theory rests on is that America is turning into a cult. My logic comes from Stephen Hassan. He has this model called the BITE model, and it's probably his best piece of work. I'll show it up on the screen for you. Essentially, the BITE model outlines all the symptoms of cult-like activity. They call it undue influence. Undue influence can be used in abusive relationships. It can be used in multi-level marketing schemes. It can be used in political groups, as I'm about to get into. It's not just, sequestered to Scientologism or whatever cult that I might have just made up there might be called. And by the way, I don't believe that reptilians in the White House are manipulating America to become a cult. Alright, the reptilians in the White House are minding their own business. They're kidnapping and eating the pituitary glands of children, but it's very few children. It's a drop in the ocean of children. Don't worry about them. I think this is almost completely incidental. I don't think this is a government, trying to make everyone turn against each other. But I still think it's real, and I think it's something we need to address. Alright, without any further ado, let me get into it. Here are some of the main symptoms I'm seeing of cult-like activity in America today. Number one is lack of sleep. Americans on average get 6.8 hours of sleep a night. That is down from 7.9 hours in 1942. Lack of sleep is devastating. Just listen to perfect hair owner and sleep psychologist guy, Matthew Walker, talk about how bad it is to lose sleep every night.
What we have found, at least in our scientific studies, is that prefrontal cortex region that we spoke about before, that sort of rational, logical part of the brain, that's one of the first things to go when you're sleep deprived. So that area of the brain just gets sort of switched off.
Right.
The more that you are sort of lacking in your sleep. And deep emotional centers of the brain, which are normally controlled and kept in check by that prefrontal cortex, they just erupt in terms of their activity. So you're all emotional gas pedal and too little regulatory control brake.
I understand Twitter a lot better now. Symptom number two is cutting out non-believers. Everybody knows someone who can't talk to their aunt at the Christmas dinner table because she shares the wrong political beliefs. But did you know cults do this all the time? Cults will almost inevitably tell you to cut out your friends, your family, anyone who doesn't believe in the cult, because they want to create an insular community. Everyone around you is telling you the same information. That's what you end up believing. On top of this, when you're isolated from your friends and family, you also can't reach out to them for social support if and when you want to leave the cult. So you're kind of stuck inside this little group. Dehumanizing. I had a friend who used to be in a cult years and years ago, and he remarks that he was sitting at a dinner table once with all of his cult member friends, and there were a lot of other people at the restaurant all sitting around them, and he looked around and realized that every other person didn't quite seem like a human to him. They all seemed like cardboard cutouts, and only his fellow cult members seemed like real, legitimate people. This is happening all the time in modern American politics. The right and left are exchanging memes at each other, calling each other names that kind of reduce their humanity in different ways. This is one of the most dangerous things you can do, because if you believe that someone is so evil that they cannot be forgiven or they are beyond reproach, then you don't listen to them, do you? You don't empathize with them. Instead, you just see them as this subhuman thing that you shouldn't even be talking to. It's just human psychology. You can't have enemies if you see them for who they are, if you see them as having a wife and a child that they love, or parents that they love, or hobbies and activities and goals. You have to see them as subhuman. Number four is only allowing your cult members to see certain information sources. If I had a cult called Scientologism, once again completely fabricated, I would tell my cult members never to look up Scientologism online, because there are evil, dishonest people writing things about us, and it's all untrue, and it's made up by our version of the devil, and you shouldn't look it up. This is exactly what social media is doing to us. Whatever we want to look at, we will get more and more of it. So if I hate a certain group of people, if I hate lumberjacks, if lumberjacks are the worst people in the world to me, I will look up hilarious videos of lumberjacks being idiots. I'm gonna look up videos of lumberjacks saying mean things and lumberjacks cutting trees improperly and lumberjacks cutting down too many trees, and then all of a sudden I'm going to see all these videos on my Facebook feed, on my YouTube feed, on Instagram of lumberjacks being jerks, and I'm going to think that every single lumberjack in the world is a jerk because social media has fed me this content. Social media has picked up the worst lumberjacks from all around the world and handed them to me on a silver platter of toxicity. Anyway, here's where I think Peterson is wrong. He believes that rational debate will save the day, that logic and reason and statistics will turn the tides. But let me ask you this. Have you ever tried to convince a flat earther that the earth is round? How did it go for you? Did they suddenly see the math equation that you handed to them and say, "Oh, I'm so silly, I got my math wrong, I carried the 2 when I actually should have carried a 4, and the earth is round, you're right. Oh, thank you for clarifying that." No? Did that not happen to you? Did they, in fact, just keep fucking debating you? There are people who are so ideologically possessed that when you talk to them about something they disagree with, their defenses activate, they're not listening to you at all. Rational debate and statistics do not work with these people, but let me tell you something that does work. This is how I try to act around people who are somewhat ideologically possessed. Number 1, reflect on your own feelings. Think about someone who you hate, like a politician, or it could even be a group of people, or an idea that you really despise. Now, when somebody brings this idea up, how do you react? Do you get defensive? Do you start hurling ideas at this person? Do you start kind of getting angry because they're so wrong that they're going to destroy the country? Well, maybe you're being a bit defensive. Maybe you're projecting. I personally believe that every single time I get upset at a political figure, at a certain group of people, I'm projecting. There's something in them that triggers me for some reason. Maybe it's because they have something that I really want. Like maybe there's a charismatic leader that is so charismatic that I want that. Or maybe this type of person has some physical feature that I really like. Maybe they're so fit and they just flaunt it all the time and I hate it. Like maybe there's something that a parent said to you one time that really hurts you. Like you can't be an artist. And then you see this awesome artist that's totally flaunting it and you're just so angry because you wanted to be an artist. There's something in here, in this person, that is making you unreasonably angry. Because think about it. There's so many things you could be angry about in the world. You could be angry about politics. You could be angry about the environment. You could be angry about the neighbor next door. But for some reason, this one person, although all of these things in the world are important, this one person is pissing you off. So think about why. Because that reflects on you more than it reflects on them. The second thing you can do when you go into a conversation with an ideologically possessed person is assume that they're traumatized in some way. They were stunted emotionally as a child. That's why they're reacting so strongly to this. So when they come up with this crazy idea that you think is terrible, don't react with facts and statistics and logic because they're not thinking rationally. They're thinking from an emotional part of their brain. And maybe they didn't have a dad when they were growing up. Or maybe they were traumatized in some terrible way. Maybe they were bullied. You don't know, right? But what you do know is that they were stunted in some way in their lives, emotionally, as a child. And so there's like a child trapped in them that is still upset and hurt and wanting to feel safe, right? And so if you were approached by a child who is getting angry and yelling at you and saying all these mean things, would you like hit them up with facts and logic and statistics and call them an idiot? Probably not. I would hope not. I would hope that you would let them know that you love them and you care for them and they have a place with you and they can always feel safe to come to you and talk about whatever they need to talk about. That's how you treat a traumatized child, and that's how you should treat traumatized adults as well. Don't engage with them. That's not what you do. The third thing you can do is engage with their real personality and not with their cult personality. Most people change when they go into new environments. When you're around your grandma, you act differently than you act around your friends. This is kind of the same thing, but taken to a more extreme point. So when people are in cults, when they're kind of ideologically possessed, they'll start using different language. Some of them even take on a different name. Their eyes will glaze over, and they'll kind of have this personality that's oftentimes really similar to other people within the cult, right? But that's not their actual personality. Their actual personality is different. It's individualized. It has a mom and a dad and friends and a hobby and a garden. Just don't engage with the cult personality. As soon as you see people spouting off these ideas and using this language, just don't engage. Just ask them about their dog. Offer to go on a walk with them. Exercise is awesome. Go exercise with them. Take them to the gym, right? And then, I don't know, encourage them to get enough sleep. All of those things are way more impactful than just trying to convince them that you're right. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. Remember, we are highly influenced by the people around us. So if you are a healthy, normal, positive person, that is the best thing you can do. Just live a good life. Just let these people into your lives, show them love, show them compassion, give them a safe space to feel able to talk to you, and that's the best possible thing you can do. So good luck in the future, and let me know how it goes.